morning. Welcome to each one. Good to see you all here again this morning. We have already been able to be blessed by these songs we sang in the Sunday school and so on. And my prayer is that we could be blessed by the message that has been prepared. I feel blessed to have had a father, or my dad. He was a preacher, has preached many sermons, and it's been quite a number of years ago. He handed me his box of sermons that he had accumulated over the years. And I looked at them and I thought, well, I really don't know how much use I can make of them, because it seems it takes an inspiration from God to be able to come up with something. We can go to the internet and we can print off pages and pages of something that somebody has written, and yeah, it may be an interesting article, it may be a very worthwhile article, and we can receive good ideas from that, but I was kind of to a point. I had a busy week, and I thought and prayed about it, and I felt like, what am I going to preach? I took that box of messages out of my and I started paging through it, and there was a message that stuck with me that he had preached years ago, and so I got ideas off of that. But it's it's there again. We need God's inspiration from God to make it worthwhile, and to where it can be a blessing to others as well. The message of the title of this message is Eternal Rock of Ages. And it seems like in these times that we are in today, we need to have something to hold on to that has a foundation. And there's much emphasis in the political world. If you don't need to look at news very far, and you can. It's the news is to the point where it just either we want to lift one side up and push the other side down, or the opposite. It's it's just trying. The political world is just trying to get on top of each other, and people are careless about life. It seems they very carelessly take a person's life, and because of differences of opinion. There's so many different religions out there. It's what do we believe? Do we know? Do we have a foundation? Do we have a footer for our belief? Do we know what we are holding on to? We see churches where the love in the brothers, maybe sisters, is growing cold. It seemed they were once up and going on fire for the Lord, and it's like something has come in there and turned cold. We know Satan is warring against the families, the family plan that God has created, a beautiful plan for the family, and his goal is trying to destroy the family. So where are we at? Where are we at in these times when there's so much of that, should we say, negative stuff that's going on? Well, in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 4, we have Jesus speaking. And let's read some verses there. Matthew chapter 24, starting at verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in various places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then will they deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because of lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. Well, that's something that Jesus spake years ago when he was walking on this earth, and he was preaching to people. You know, back then already, it was sad about all these things that are going on that are just, it seems like lawlessness is taking over. So will the Christian faith stay upright? Will Christians hold faith? Jesus asked this question in Luke 18, verse 8. He says, Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Well, we know that there is a promise. We know that there's a promise that God has given to those that truly love and care for him. In Matthew chapter 16, verse 18, And I say unto thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Here is something we can hold fast to and depend on. So let us be encouraged to hold fast to this rock. We know that a rock is something firm, something solid. And we have seen, I think most of us have seen, huge rocks. We've seen boulders, we've seen enormous mountains, rock mountains, and you know, it would just take a massive force to move those rocks, which they would still be hard to move. And then Jesus speaks more about this rock in Matthew 21, verse 42. He saith unto them, Did ye never read in the Scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner? This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth the fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. So there's this rock. he's talking about the head of the corner. Jesus is this rock. And then he says, whosoever shall fall on this rock shall be broken, with the meaning that, if we allow this rock into our lives and it can break our own self-will, we can be humbled, we can accept that. But he says, if this rock will fall on us, it will grind him to powder, he says. If we do not accept Jesus and then we do not listen to his calling, what do we have to look for? What do we have coming? We could possibly, with a lot of money, a huge cost, we could dig out a hole in these solid rocks somewhere, and we could have a safe place to live. Maybe, people have tried that, going far underneath ground in a rock mountain and try to be safe from those things that could happen to us. People have spent lots of money in trying to store groceries and trying to store things underground where, if things should come to a screeching halt, that they would be able to live for a while, by having their things stored somewhere deep underground. But we know that is a very temporary safety. So there is a big difference, from the rocks that were created, the rocks that God created, or this eternal rock that we are speaking of here today. As we think of Jesus Christ, this eternal rock, we have something to hold on to. And that will stay. That'll be there if, when things turn south, or when hard times come, or when, those things, we have something to hold on to if we have our foundation planted on this rock. This rock is also a refuge. In Psalm 18, we have verses on that, verse 1 and 2 in Psalm 18. David says this, the servant of the Lord, who spake unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him from the land of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And he said, I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress, and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. So David realized that, yes, God is my strength. He is my deliverer, a refuge in this rock. We know he had to flee for his life, and he went into a cave. And Saul, he ended up in that same cave where he was. He didn't find him there, but he ended up in there, and how safe would he have been if Saul and his men had found him there? But the hand of God was above the strength, and it was able to deliver him there. Psalm 27:4. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion, in the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up on a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. Here again he's speaking of praising God and lifting up his name because of who God is. He is able to keep him. This rock, this eternal rock, is also a fortress. Psalm 31, verse 3. For thou art my rock and my fortress, therefore for thy name's sake, lead me and guide me. It is a place where he can hide behind when things are going rough. And then this rock is also a solid footing. If we go to Psalm 40, verse 2, it says, He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. So we have experienced that, I believe. But you know how we were in this mire. We were in the pit of despair, in a horrible pit, he says. God took him out of that pit and set him on a rock, on something solid, where he could go again. And then God speaks of Jeremiah in Jeremiah 15, verse 20. And I will make thee unto this people a fenced, brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee, for I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee, saith the Lord. In his affliction and persecution, God would take care of him. And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. So God was speaking to Jeremiah here. These people, seemed to be against him. They didn't appreciate him. But God tells him, I will make you like a fenced, brazen wall, and they will not be able to touch you. I listened to a story, and it was a bit of a long story, but I'll see if I can make it not too long. It was this man. He was a pastor in I believe in China is where he was. Kim was his name. And he had a longing. He had come out of North Korea. He had been in North Korea, and we know North Korea is very, very much close to Christianity. But he had got out of there, out of the country. But he felt that God was calling him back to North Korea to go and help to preach the word. And so he knows it's extremely dangerous if he will even be able to get into the country. And if he gets into the country, he knows it could mean his life if he got caught with being a Christian. but he manages to he gets into North Korea, and so he starts working. He has some certain friends that he has had from years ago, and he finds them, and he encourages those people. And basically, he doesn't carry anything with him. He doesn't even carry a Bible. He has a good portion of the Bible memorized in his mind, because carrying a Bible could mean instant being captured and imprisoned. And so he just keeps the scripture in his mind, and that way he encourages other believers. And it seems like he is very successful. But they have to be extremely careful where they meet and where they gather as a group. But even young people and different people, they get attracted to him, and they realize what he has to offer, and they want to have more of it. And I don't know the exact number of years that he's worked there, but people, the older people, are especially careful with how they appear and how they act, because they are watched by the authorities all the time. But he got more and more people interested, and more people were saved, and these younger people, they were showing, instead of a life of just dread and a life of misery that they were under in this country, they were starting to show a peaceful calm about them, and that's what caused the authorities to get the attention. They started realizing, something must be going on here, and so they don't take action immediately, but they very privately they seek out these believers, and they spy on them, and once they know where the groups gather and so on. And so this certain night they are gathered in an underground building. 18 people, I believe there were. And as they are having their service there, and praying and encouraging each other, the police arrive. They are all taken captive. And Kim, he's the leader of them, but they're very cold and towards them, and they ask him who is the leader here. Nobody says anything, and he says, "I'll give you 3 seconds to for somebody to show up who's the leader." And so he gets up, and he gets arrested there. All of these are arrested and taken to prison. And so they're all taken to prison, and then here in a few days he gets his trial, and he is condemned. He will have to die for being, for corrupting the people with this religion, is what they call it. And so he gets his trial, and they say, "Yeah, you have 3 days to live, and you'll be executed in the public square." So he spends his time praying in prison. And waiting He's treated very brutally, but he stays calm and he prays about it, prepares himself to be executed. And so it's the last evening before his execution. There's a young soldier there, and he wonders, how are you so calm about this? And he ministers to him somewhat. But then the following day, he's supposed to be taken, 2 guards, a guard on each side, and they take him to this. He's driven to the square where they're going to kill him. And there's just all the authorities. They have asked thousands of people to show up so that they will see what happens if somebody lives a life like this. What happens to a Christian who spreads the word to other people. And so he is taken up there to the center platform, and so they've got microphones, loudspeakers to let the people know what's going on and to warn them not to ever get infiltrated with this. And somehow, as it's getting closer to his execution, he hears music, and it's not through the speakers. It's just a calming music that comes out of the sky, and he's he recognizes the song. The song was "How Great Thou Art," and it just gets louder as time goes on. It's a soft singing and a very beautiful singing. And the people are all captivated by it. They are looking around, wondering what's going on here. And all of a sudden, his chains that he has about him, they start loosening up. And the leader who is in charge for his execution, he gets very excited, very frustrated about this. How come they try to put the chains back on and they won't fasten on him again. And so they get pretty frantic about it, but somehow all these soldiers, they just tend to lose their hardness. They can't do anything. And this main guy, he gets very aggravated about it. What are you all doing, and how come? And so finally he just grabs for a gun himself, and he starts shooting. The first shot he fires towards him, the bullet comes within 3 feet of him and just stays hanging there in the air. And he fires 3 times, and all those bullets just stay right there in the air. He can't do anything. And so we see here God was God was in charge, and he didn't, he was going to show these people that there is someone else in control. And a lot of people were saved after that. These army men, a lot of them, they lost out. They weren't good for anything of that sort anymore. But through that whole thing, God showed these people that there is a strength. There is a strength beyond what people think to have. And how he delivered him, and this minister came. He was released. He got away from there. He wasn't killed. And later he went around and he helped these Christians. There were a lot of new converts, and preparing them for the mission to keep the work of Christ going in that country. And after some years, he was able to leave the country again and get into China, and so from there he was working with these Christians in North Korea. Even though the persecution got fairly fierce again later on, but God was showing these people here's someone else in charge, and how he led that. Jim read the story of Daniel here a couple of weeks ago on a Wednesday night. Daniel chapter 3, and this is where these Daniel's friends, they were not going to bow down to Nebuchadnezzar's idol, to his statue, and they just calmly told Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter, and if it be so, our God whom we serve will deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and will deliver us out of thine hand. But O king, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So these young men, they were put to a fierce test as well, but they knew whom they had. They knew this eternal rock that they were founded on. So do we know where to go in our times of trouble? Maybe in sickness and temptation and famine, or war or persecution. Some of these things we can't really feel along with, but we have trials too, and we have hard times. Do we know where to go to this place of refuge? He may not choose to deliver us from those things that we face, but if he doesn't, may we be sure that he will be with us to the end. This rock is also a foundation for our spiritual house and also for the church. We need a foundation that will not sink. And that's where Jesus said to Peter, he said, upon this rock will I build my church. He knew there was a solid pillar, a solid rock, and that's where the church would be built on. And we need that today to be able to stand as a church. Matthew 7:24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man who built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. This is a sure foundation. So what kind of material are we using to build on this rock? In 1 Corinthians 3:12, he talks of, now if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. Are we building with material that will uphold the test of time? No more strangers and foreigners in Ephesians 2:19. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with saints and the household of God, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and the prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto a holy temple in the Lord, in whom ye are also builded together for an habitation of God through the Spirit. The apostles, he says, the foundation of the apostles and Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone. That's what we have today to build on Jesus Christ. And these apostles, they built on that cornerstone as well. Peter writes something of these living stones. Well, what are living stones? He says in 1 Peter 2:4, to whom coming as unto a living stone disallowed indeed of man, but chosen of God and precious, ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifice acceptable to God by Jesus Christ. These living stones that are producing life, to offer up spiritual sacrifices. This eternal rock supplied nourishment in the wilderness and still does today. In 1 Corinthians 10 verse 1, moreover, brethren, I would not have you to be ignorant that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea. All were baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank that spiritual rock of that rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were for our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted. They drank of that spiritual rock, which was Christ. Some of them did. Some of them they lost out. They did not drink of that spiritual meat, and they lost out in the way. So he's saying, may that be an example to us. May we be sure that we keep the faith, that we stay grounded and settled on that firm foundation. Shall we kneel for prayer? Heavenly Father, thank you again this morning for the opportunity to see your word, to look at your word, and to know that you are the eternal rock of ages. You are the one that we are secure in if we keep holding on to you. I thank you for each one here this morning, and may you bless their lives as they hold on to you, as they as we all face different trials or different things. We meet up with them. May you give each one strength and courage for what is ahead for each one. I pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.